Good afternoon everyone, so Justin Frank, I'm the Head of Strategy and Comms for Gottera. Our purpose is circular economy pioneers solving for a better future. That's why we go to work, that's why we work so hard, that's why we exist. That's our facility at Albury City Council, where we help them reduce food waste going to landfill and the associated negative impacts, which I'll talk to you later about. This presentation is around agile recycling technology for organics and at landfill. So for those of you who don't know much about waste management at landfill, food waste is a huge problem going into landfill. Food waste represents 8% of global greenhouse gas emissions. If food waste was a country, it would be the third biggest emitter of CO2 equivalent emissions after the United States and China. Its global carbon footprint is 3 times that of the airline industry, because it breaks down and creates methane, which is over 25 times more potent than CO2. So it's a big problem, something that we can all contribute to reducing, whether it's worm farms and composting at home, or solutions like Gottera for commercial food waste. We're also facing a food production shortfall versus demand by at least 20% by 2050. So you have increasing global population, burgeoning middle classes in populous countries like India and China, all wanting and having more access to protein. It won't fall evenly, but we will see real challenges in the supply of protein to the demand. We have to find alternative ways of generating protein. Over 60% of crops produced go to the animals that we eat, and a huge percentage of the animals that are reared actually go back into animal supply chains, which we need to find other ways to solve. The issues with soybean, with global deforestation and its carbon footprint in transport, also makes it a fairly unsustainable protein. We see kind of an example in the energy industry where large, high capex end-of-pipe solutions are kind of losing out in the transition. They're either slow or negative growth. We look at coal. Britain are about to move out of coal. Gas, we do a bit more here, but hydro and nuclear, they are slow because they are high capex, need a lot of social license, and are prone to cost blowouts. If you look at solar, decentralised and centralised opportunities, rapidly expanding with minimal ongoing labour. We think the same is true for the waste industry. So what is Gottera's solution? We believe we've democratised infrastructure that can produce solutions to address any customer stream and turn waste into regenerative, sustainable byproducts, solving problems both up and down the supply chain. We do that through a MIB, so it's not the Men in Black, it's modular infrastructure for biological services. This is the solution at Barangaroo in the city of Sydney. So underneath Barangaroo's towers, there's 80 retailers generating food waste. We process all of that food waste through this one unit. Food waste is presented to point 1, which is a bin lifter. The clean organics food waste, there's not even a bin liner, it's tipped into the chute at point 2, which has an initial maceration. It macerates the food waste into a paste and held in point 3, which is the hopper. From the hopper, there's another maceration of food waste to break into very tiny particles before it's fed into the unit. Within that unit, the standard unit, there's 340 trays with tens of thousands of larvae, so over 30,000 larvae in each tray, so over 10 million larvae in each cycle that promiscuously and voraciously eat the food and poo it out. So we've gone from human poo to maggot poo all in an afternoon. At the end of the cycle, we take the trays out, so the food waste has been eaten at roughly 1.2 tonnes of food waste a day for clean organics. It's eaten and pooed out, and we have trays of fat, juicy larvae and larvae poo, which is called frass. We take that to a hub where we separate the frass from the larvae. The frass is composted and turned into a nutrient-rich natural fertiliser. The larvae are washed. They are then slaughtered ethically in hot water and then rendered, and they go to downstream supply chains, being aquaculture for fish meal inclusion, poultry, both for meat and egg production, but also into pet food supply chains as well. We reseed the unit with baby larvae, so neonates, so 3 to 5 day old larvae, who basically go back into the system, and the cycle repeats itself. It takes about 3 hours to do a service. So a completely circular closed loop process, reducing greenhouse gas emissions by up to 97% for clean organics. So the solution really does reduce capital constraints and expands the markets that are served. So rather than having large landfills or energy from waste plants where small markets can get overlooked, we can stage the growth along with demand. So Albury, as an example, the uptake from commercial waste generator or waste producers in the region is so popular that we're now going through a DA to get extra units put there. You don't have to build a massive end of pipe solution. You can build to scale with the demand as it comes online. We've just put a new unit into the Hyatt Regency, the largest Australian hotel in Sydney, processing the food waste there. The food waste goes into the unit, same process has just been through. The larvae are then sold to their egg supplier, so Hilltop's free range eggs. The chickens eat the eggs, eat the larvae, they lay the eggs go back to the breakfast table, and the cycle repeats itself, so closing the unit. We are also looking at working with our produce suppliers and even a vineyard to grow wine for the hotel, so looking to close those loops wherever we can. We don't see ourselves as competitors necessarily to the waste industry, we see ourselves as integrators. We harness the power of robotics and insects to solve customers' needs in a way that the waste industry currently can't. We can coexist on a waste facility, we have our own locations, or we can be on site at the customer's location like Barangaroo, like the Hyatt or Hammersmith Wharves or even Melbourne Airport, where we all have units dealing with the waste on site. Those on-site solutions provide the best ESG outcome. There's no or minimal vehicle movement, so you don't have waste trucks coming to collect the organics every day. You have one Pantech solution coming to do a service every 2 weeks. So your scope 3 emissions are significantly reduced. The waste is also not classed as waste for those deployed units because it's not leaving in a waste truck and going to disposal. Through the bioconversion process within the unit, what's leaving are 2 sustainable byproducts that only need an extra step to turn them into saleable products. So another big kicker for the scope 3 reductions. These are just some of the partnerships. Ascretti and Nutrico, one of the largest international fish meal producers, have announced their partnership. They have huge demand, which we will be working to supply over the next few years. Hilltops I've mentioned. Jamboree Farm, they're a small free-range egg producer that are using the insect protein. They're seeing an 8% increase in egg production. They're seeing an improvement in egg structure, an improvement in egg coloration, and an improvement in yolk colour as well, because of the amino acid and fatty acid balance in the insect itself. So good for the chickens. It's basically what they're designed to eat. It's good for their gut health, and it also reduces their mortality rate. We've got a lot of free-range egg producers coming on board, and some already in there. This is our Wetherall Park hub that's being commissioned as we speak. So Wetherall Park is about 45 kilometres west of Sydney. We'll be processing retailer waste through there, the likes of Woolworths, but also Cleanaway, and their customers will be coming in, and we'll be processing multiple tonnes of waste, up to 6,000 tonnes a year through 9 units. Again, just a larger system. So the Gottera solution can really disrupt the waste industry, keeping a really painful source of waste out of landfills, reducing the methane that it creates, as well as the methane CO2 emissions equivalent, and really turn it regeneratively into sustainable byproducts that can go back into the agriculture supply chains and create food for us to eat rather than just wasting it. Any questions?
So yeah, any question from Floor? Yeah.
Phil Woods from Taswater. I'm interested in where you see these, like I think you said something like that you're not necessarily competing with the waste sector, but then you said you were last thing was changing the waste sector. But how does this sit compared to something like anaerobic digestion? I'll ask that because I'm familiar with that in the waste sector and looking at co-digestion. Do you see this as being, dealing with certain types of situations, or do you see this as being something that could be the bulk of a solution for organic waste in the city?
Yeah, absolutely. The AD is a good solution where you have a very clean stream of waste. So I used to work for Suez, global waste and water solution provider. We work very closely with multiple water providers over the country and around the world. AD is a great solution, but it needs to have clean stream. The bugs are very sensitive to contamination. We take packaged food waste, we depackage it, and we take the organic fraction and feed the larvae. We believe that there will be a future where there is not as much food waste because we won't have the luxury as human beings to be so wasteful. We're already looking at biosolid applications as well. The bugs do need a nutritional value. They do need to get nutrition from the waste, so the biosolids may need to be mixed with a nutritional fraction. Those larvae would not be able to go back into agricultural supply chains or livestock supply chains because they'll be basically eating excrement. But the high fat content within the larvae, so they're about 40% protein, 35% fat. That fat is an excellent lubricant substitute or melanin substitute. So there are circles within circles. The chitin properties of the shell, of the pupa shells, is a really great ingredient when crushed down for water purification, and we're looking for ways to develop that market as well. So there's multiple circles within these fantastic little insect creatures. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I suppose, in being in the wastewater sector, I'm thinking more about what the wastewater sector is trying to do in bringing organic waste in, and how, is this going to be a better way for everything, or in certain situations?
I think there's applications for different situations where you've got a really clean organic solution that can be mixed with biosolids to create AD, or I've seen in many plants. That's a good solution. Where you've got a more complicated disposal solution like the actual biosolids themselves, then it can be a really good fit. And we are talking to some water authorities about it.
What's the screening process like for the feed? Like when you collect what you're going to feed the bugs, are you relying on the people giving you the product to give you something that you're able to give them all?
Yes, good question. So for the on-site deployed unit share, we have posters that go on the bins and what can go in. We do get contamination, generally gets caught before it goes in. If it does get through the system and doesn't create a blockage on the front end, then the bugs will eat around it and we have to sift it out of the frass. For the hubs or stacks like Albury where we get package waste in, again we have a criteria for contamination charges that we can charge customers if they put the wrong things in. But again, the bugs will eat around what they don't want, and we'll have to sort through that. We do consumption trials with new customers just to make sure that the waste substrate is suitable. One, to give the bugs the nutrition that they need to grow, but two, that they can do it in an efficient profile. So at Melbourne Airport, after Christmas, we get a lot of business travellers back in there, so a lot of coffee. Coffee does slow down at high volumes because it's such a dry, fibrous substrate. We love it for the frass, it's a great fertiliser, but the bugs don't chow down on it quite as much as they do a lettuce leaf, as an example.
Yes, please.
Just quickly, the return on investment for private customers, how do you sell the product from a financial incentive?
Yeah, great question. So for the on-site solution, we have a lease model, so we never sell it, it's always a product of Gottera. So we lease the unit for $2,500 a month, and then we charge $1 per tonne processing fee, which varies by state because it's kind of linked close to the levies in each state. Because you're cutting out the transport, we're very competitive versus landfill. We're very competitive versus compost as well in terms of that $1 per tonne equivalent rate. So in Sydney, to get organics collected and disposed of, if it goes to landfill, it'll be over $330 a tonne. We'd be under $300 a tonne. For the hub and spoke model, the stacks, there's no lease fee required. It's just a straight $1 per tonne charge for the waste. If it's clean, we charge less than if it's packaged because there's an extra step. So very competitive, and a much more sustainable outcome, because you're not only just creating a compost like you would at a windrow, creating a protein as well. It's highly sought
Yeah,
after.
that's what I was going to ask. Do you have many clients that are councils who are constantly creating compost? Do you have any containers at council waste facilities to deal with that?
Yeah, so Albury City Council, so we've got a good partnership there. You may have seen the announcement from the City of Sydney, so we're just commissioning their unit for a food scraps trial with the City of Sydney. So we're doing 21,000 households, between 500 to 600 tonnes of food scraps a year through one unit. That's going to be our first faux trial. We can't do green waste, the bugs won't eat the cellulose. We're about to do it with another council in WA. That'll be a mix of food organics from residents and commercial users in the area as well. So yeah, we did.
Okay, so if there's no, oh yeah.
So you mentioned
We'll be talking about nuggets later.
yeah, this is the last session. Japan units to Korea, and you mentioned in your presentation slide, you mentioned no one wants to change their habit,
Yeah.
right? And so with